All right, so get this. We're diving deep into the Matrix today.
Sounds so fun.
But there's a twist. We're not just going to like rewatch it.
Okay.
We're going behind the scenes with this YouTube video essay that makes this wild claim that The Matrix was a documentary.
I know.
That's an interesting take.
Is right.
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah, definitely caught my eye. I mean, the essayist doesn't just focus on the movie itself.
Right.
They kind of connect The Matrix to this whole network.
Yeah.
Of like anxieties and cultural trends that were kind of simmering in the late 20th century.
So they're saying it's not just cool kung fu and special effects.
Right.
They're saying that The Matrix was tapping into something deeper.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like predicting the world we live in now.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to try to unpack today.
Yeah.
Using the essay as our guide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it starts by taking us back to the 80s and 90s.
Right.
To the gritty world of cyberpunk.
Which very heavily influenced The Matrix.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're talking Blade Runner, we're talking William Gibson's Neuro stories where technology isn't just our friend. You know, it's a tool for control and oppression.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm already seeing the connections here.
Yeah.
But why did this dystopian vision resonate so much back then?
Well, I think you have to think about the context. You know, the 80s saw this huge rise of massive corporations, globalization, and like early digital networks. So people were starting to worry about losing their individuality. Becoming like cogs in a machine run by these unseen forces.
Right.
And Cyberpunk just put those fears into a visceral high-tech package.
And those fears haven't exactly gone away, have they?
Not at all.
It's like we've just swapped mega corporations for like tech giants.
Right.
And the digital network is now 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah. And the essay even points out that the term cyberspace, which we use constantly now, came straight from Neuromancer.
Oh, wow.
So these stories weren't just fiction, you know, they were shaping our language.
Yeah.
And how we think about technology's role in society.
That's a bit eerie, honestly.
It is.
It makes you wonder what other ideas from those cyberpunk stories might be playing out around us without us even realizing.
Sure.
So beyond cyberpunk, though, the essay also dives into anime's impact on The Matrix.
Yeah.
Especially Akira and Ghost in the Shell. I think this part will be particularly interesting.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I've seen both of those films.
Okay, cool.
But I haven't really thought about how they connect to The Matrix beyond just like the visual similarities.
Well, remember how Western animation at the time was mostly seen as like kids stuff?
Yeah, like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Anime, on the other hand, you know, it wasn't afraid to tackle mature themes. Like Akira explored psychic powers, societal collapse, Ghost in the Shell, dove into consciousness.
Right. And what it means to be human.
Yeah.
In the cybernetic world.
And The Matrix definitely grapples with those same questions. Like, is Neo really in control? What does it mean to be plugged in?
Right.
The parallels are definitely there.
For sure. And visually, anime pushed the boundaries of what animation could do.
Right.
Pioneering all these techniques that The Matrix later adopted. Like the famous bullet time effect.
Yeah.
Straight out of Ghost in the Shell.
Wow, I never knew that.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's like the Wachowskis took these really complex philosophical themes from anime and then added this Hollywood blockbuster layer on top.
Exactly.
Pretty genius when you think about it.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Yeah.
Speaking of influences, the essay makes this kind of surprising jump to the music scene of the 90s.
Okay.
It contrasts the raw angst of grunge with bands like Nirvana and Rage.
Yeah.
Against the machine, against the very manufactured pop of boy bands.
Okay, now that's an interesting connection. I can kind of see it, though.
Yeah.
Grunge was all about rebelling against the system.
Right.
And the boy bands felt very, like, controlled, almost artificial.
Very manufactured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that duality perfectly mirrors The Matrix, doesn't it?
I think so.
You have the underground rebellious spirit of Neo and the crew fighting against the machines.
Right.
And then you have the simulated world itself, this place of like manufactured perfection.
Right.
Very much like the boy band phenomenon.
Exactly. It's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And The Matrix was speaking to both sides.
Yeah.
Which is probably why it resonated with such a wide audience.
It tapped into this feeling that something wasn't quite right with the world. That we were being sold a version of reality that wasn't the whole truth.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
It's like this feeling that something isn't quite right.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that, the essay brings up this really mind-bending concept, hyperreality. It's a term from the philosopher Jean Baudrillard.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, I'm still wrapping my head around it.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically Baudrillard argued that in our media-saturated world, we're constantly bombarded with these images and simulations.
Right.
And eventually those simulations start to feel more real than reality itself.
Okay, so how we curate our lives on social media.
Exactly.
Trying to present this perfect version of ourselves, even if it's not entirely true.
Yeah.
Is that a kind of hyperreality?
Totally. It's that blurring of the lines between the image and the real thing.
Yeah.
And the video essay argues that the Matrix is like a giant metaphor for this.
Right.
The characters literally live in a simulated world, unable to distinguish it from reality.
But isn't there a difference between putting a filter on your selfie and actually believing that the Matrix is real?
Yeah.
I know I'm choosing to present a certain image online, but I don't think I'm losing touch with reality.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But think about how much of our lives are mediated through screens now.
Yeah, that's true.
We shop online.
Right.
We work remotely.
Right.
We have relationships with people we've never met in person. The line between the physical and the digital is getting thinner all the time.
And the essay seems to be saying that the Matrix kind of predicted this shift. It's like the film was holding up a mirror to our future selves, showing us where this hyperconnectivity could lead.
Exactly. And it's not just about losing touch with reality.
Right.
It's about who controls those simulations, who benefits from them.
Yeah.
In the Matrix, it's the machines.
Right.
In our world, it might be the tech giants. The algorithms that shape our feeds, the advertisers who are constantly vying for our attention.
It's like we're trading our autonomy for convenience, for the ease of having everything at our fingertips.
Right.
But maybe we're giving up more than we realize.
That's the question the essay wants us to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Are we in control of our technology, or is it controlling us?
Okay, so we've got cyberpunk, we've got anime, we've got hyperreality, and then the essay brings it all back to the internet.
Right.
It traces its development from these Cold War origins with ARPANET to the explosion of the World Wide Web in the 90s.
Right.
Why was that historical context so important to the film?
Because it highlights the speed at which our relationship with technology was changing.
Okay.
Remember the Y2K scare?
Oh, yeah.
People were genuinely afraid that computers would malfunction and throw the world into chaos.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It feels almost silly now.
Yeah.
But back then, it was a real source of anxiety.
It was.
Yeah, and the Matrix tapped right into that fear.
Totally.
This unease about humanity's growing dependence on technology.
Exactly. And it's not just about computers crashing.
Right.
It's about the potential for technology to be used against us.
Yeah.
To control us, to manipulate us.
Right.
The Matrix just took those anxieties and amplified them to a whole other level.
And here's the thing. Those anxieties haven't disappeared.
No.
They've just evolved.
Right.
Now we worry about data privacy algorithms, AI. It's like the fears of the 90s were just a preview of the challenges we're facing today.
Right. And that's what makes the essay's central claim so compelling.
Okay.
That The Matrix was a documentary. Not in the literal sense, but in the way that it captured something very real about our relationship with technology and the direction we were heading.
But if The Matrix is about our growing dependence on technology, how come it was such a huge hit? I mean, people loved this film, but it seems like a pretty bleak message.
Because it wasn't just a warning.
Okay.
It was also about hope. About the potential for individuals to break free from the system.
Right.
To reclaim their agency.
Yeah.
It gave people a way to process their anxieties about technology.
Okay.
And to imagine a different future.
Think about Neo's journey.
Yeah.
He starts out trapped, living this meaningless life.
Right.
But once he sees the truth, he fights back. He chooses to take control.
And that's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Even in a world that feels increasingly controlled by technology, we still have the ability to make choices, to resist, to fight for a better future.
Yeah.
The Matrix reminded people of that. And I think that's why it resonated so deeply.
But how do we do that? How do we reclaim our agency in a world where technology is so pervasive, so ingrained in our lives?
Right.
Does the essay offer any solutions?
It doesn't provide easy answers.
Okay.
But that's part of what makes it so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It challenges us to think critically about our relationship with technology, to question the systems that are in place, and to find ways to use technology in a way that empowers us rather than enslaves us.
It's interesting how the essay connects the Y2K scare to the Matrix. You know, it was like this global anxiety attack about technology like turning against us, becoming the enemy.
Yeah, it's almost funny looking back now.
I know, right?
But in the late 90s, that fear that computers would crash and cause like worldwide chaos, that was very real.
Yeah, and that fear, wasn't it a reflection of how much we already relied on computers back then?
Oh, absolutely.
Like banking power grids, everything was starting to run on them.
Exactly. Even in the 90s, you know, we were becoming increasingly dependent on these systems.
Right.
The Matrix just took that trend and pushed it to its extreme.
Yeah.
Showing us a world where machines had completely taken over.
It's wild to think how much has changed since, like, we're carrying around supercomputers in our pockets now.
I know, it's crazy.
Constantly connected to this massive digital network.
Yeah.
It's almost like the line between the real world and the digital world has just vanished.
That's exactly the point the essay is making.
Yeah.
The Matrix wasn't just science fiction.
Right.
It was reflecting a very real trend. Technology becoming so integrated into our lives that it's hard to separate the physical from the digital.
It's like we're all living in a kind of hybrid reality now, you know?
Yeah.
Our online identities are just as important as our offline ones.
Yeah.
And just like in the film, it's not always clear who's really in control, us or the technology.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
The essay argues that The Matrix wasn't just about the dangers of technology itself.
Okay.
It was about the systems of control that technology enables, how it can be used to manipulate and exploit us.
When you look at the power of tech giants today, Google, Facebook, Amazon, you can't help but see some parallels to the machines in the Matrix.
It's true.
They're collecting our data. They're tracking us, shaping what we see and think.
Right.
It's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
It can be. And the essay connects this back to the evolution of the internet itself. You know, it started as this decentralized network full of potential for connection and free expression.
Right.
But as it became commercialized and centralized, controlled by a few powerful corporations, it began to resemble the Matrix in a way.
So we traded the freedom of the early internet for the convenience and efficiency of this system that might not actually have our best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's kind of the bummer part of it.
Yeah, it is a bit of a downer.
But I think the essay offers a glimmer of hope, too.
Right.
You know, it reminds us that even in a world where technology seems to dominate, we still have the power to choose to resist, to fight for a better way.
Just like Neo did.
Exactly.
He could have stayed plugged into the Matrix, living a comfortable but meaningless existence. But he chose to wake up, to face reality and fight for something more.
And that's a message that resonates even more today, you know, in a world that feels increasingly shaped by algorithms and corporations.
Right.
We need to remember that we still have agency.
Yeah.
We can be aware of the forces at play, question the systems that control us, and fight for a future.
Right.
Where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
This deep dive has seriously changed how I see The Matrix.
Really?
Yeah. It's not just a cool action flick anymore.
Yeah.
It's a warning, a philosophical exploration, and like a call to action for the digital age.
I think that's the power of art that truly captures the spirit of its time. It speaks to us on multiple levels. Makes us think critically about the world and our place in it.
So the next time you watch The Matrix, don't just focus on the special effects, you know?
Right.
Pay attention to the deeper message, the questions it raises about reality, technology, and what it means to be human in a digital world.
Because in a world where the lines between the real and the simulated are increasingly blurred, you know, those questions are more important now than ever before.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has been.
If you're just joining us, be sure to check out parts 1 and 2, where we explored all the influences that shaped The Matrix, from cyberpunk and anime to the music of the 90s.
A lot to unpack.
And if this conversation has you thinking about your own relationship with technology, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts on our social media. Or better yet, start your own deep dive into the ideas that resonated with you, because just like Neo, we all have the power to choose how deep down the rabbit hole we go.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep questioning
Yeah.
Keep exploring and stay engaged.